with the addition of betting into esports, things got a lot more toxic. People are messaging me like I lost a game, and people are pissed at me because I lost the money.
Hello and welcome to The Dive, Season 7, Episode 7. Lucky number 7s. Golden Guardians are also lucky because they had a 7-game win streak, and then they don't anymore.
We're going with that.
More 7s. We needed one more.
Until yesterday, and then we lost.
Yeah.
Team Liquid. Yeah, sad.
But welcome, Stixxay Licorice.
Thank you.
Fresh off a win, clean win, easy win.
Yeah.
Immortals.
You've won 8 of your last 9. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
That does sound a lot better than
1-game win streak.
Yeah. Well, you've also won 100% of your game today.
true.
That's also true.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, how does it feel? Just kind of like on the real, because obviously you started the split. You don't have all your teammates here. It's 0-2 start. Then obviously, your mid laners are arriving. From what I heard, it was like literally flew in, went to bed, woke up, 0 scrims with you guys, and started playing and stuff.
We had one scrim day, I think.
One scrim
But it was
day.
like our team was at a weird phase where we weren't really playing that well together. So it just felt weird. Like everything was just a bit off. So when we showed up, it's kind of like you're just showing up to LCS and you're like, can we win today? I don't know. Let's find out.
I mean, it's kind of cool because I think in a way it's like you can kind of ignore basically the first 4 games, right? So if you're looking at it like that, like the actual strength of your team is a 7-1 team, which I think is like way above. Okay, you're giving me a funny look. I think that's fair to say for current level of strength, right? Which is like far above where pretty much everyone in the community, myself as well, predicted you guys being. Like, are you surprised by how much success you're having, or did you guys kind of see it coming?
I'm surprised. I will say, like, I didn't expect to win this much this fast, but like, I didn't think we were going to be a bad team. Like, everyone had us at 8th place, and I thought that was just shit. So
Yeah, that's just delusional.
But is 4 too high? You're like, oh, maybe.
no, I think we can win. Like, I literally think we can win playoffs and like go to MSI and do well at MSI. It's just like my expectations were pretty low because like. I spent a fair amount of time losing in recent years, so it's hard to be like, this year I'm going to be number 1. But like, I don't know, we're playing well. We're a good team. I think we can be number 1.
Yeah. How's the mentality within the team? Because you were talking about the early weeks. Not only did you not have everybody there, but also not playing well together in other terms, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a couple of bad things lined up. That's why it's kind of nice, I guess,
Yeah.
to be able to put all of the bad things concentrated in the first couple of weeks and try and like throw those out.
Yeah, no, if you just ignore all the losses, you've actually won every game.
That's why I started
I mean,
laughing.
you're laughing, but I actually think it's not that fraudulent, right? It's different if it's like middle of the season.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Maybe a tiny bit, but like at the very least, I think you have to ignore at least the first week, right? It's literally a different player,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, our 4 losses at the beginning were really close too.
Yeah.
They literally came down to one team fight at like super late in the game, like 40 minutes in the game. If we had won that, we would win the games, and they reversed the top 4 teams.
So really, you're 100% win rate.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
we just had maybe a few different skill shots to hit. We just win.
Do you think they were that close?
It was pretty close.
Okay.
There
Yeah.
was like the one that's come to mind is the EG game. Like we had so many close team fights. We were behind in all these games, to be fair, but
Yeah,
we almost won some of the late game team
but
fights.
they were winnable.
Yeah, they were winnable.
As
Right.
a top laner, did you want to FF?
The EG game? No. I'm trying to think if there was any game I wanted to FF.
AD carry is like, my role is strong. I'm playing Zeri. We're going late. We're
Hey, guys,
scaling.
We could win.
Top laner here on Renekton is like, maybe we play next game.
Dude, Renekton Scales.
Yeah.
Like that. LS is really like, he's done a number on people. Like some people still don't pick Renekton to this day. And this champion is just like, it's just there. It's strong. It stuns people. It kills people. Like,
Yeah.
There's a lot to love about Renekton.
Does that stuff bother you then? Like when, there are like obviously these like pervasive community opinions that can get formed by us on broadcast or by streamers, co-streamers, like whatever. When there is something, especially if it's one that you disagree with, like, is that annoying for you guys then? Because
And
like,
what are they?
you're well, Renekton's obviously one, right? You're picking Renekton all the time.
Yeah.
So like, do you have people in your DMs? Are you frustrated by that kind of stuff? If you think that's like, oh, these fucking guys don't know what they're talking about.
I mean, as a player, you really just have to have your own opinion. Like you can't really listen to other people at the end of the day. Because if you are playing something that you don't think is good, then you're just going to play less good. Like, because you're going to be like, oh no, his pick's actually good into me. And that's going to be in your head the whole time you're playing it. So like, you have to have your own idea. Just pick what you like.
I would like to now broach the topic of the Lee Sin top. because I have seen a lot of other top laners playing it in Champions Queue, and it didn't look good in the hands of any of those top players either. So that wasn't, you're the only one who actually played on LCS stage.
Yeah.
But how do you feel about that pick with a lot of junglers loving to play it as well and it being a flex pick now? Is that still a tool that you would like to utilize? Or does community perception, like the game wasn't that great also and everyone's going to start flaming? Does that also affect pick ban?
I mean, having a bad game definitely affects it because then like it's just like you just want to play it less. You know, you're like you lock in the champion. Some part of your brain's thinking about the game you played on stage that was just awful, and then like it's just harder. I do think it's not bad. I did get some fake data from scrims though. I think about the Lee Sin Jax matchup, scrimming a unnamed top laner who like pounded into the dirt
The time
with Lee
that
Sin, and then went on stage, and I'm like, oh, this matchup's actually not good.
Would
So
you
that's
like
weird.
to name the top laner?
No, I think that's all right.
no, the
Okay,
time,
but Stixxay, who are you scrimming?
dude, I don't remember, but like that time period, we were just winning every scrim, right?
Yeah.
So you don't really get the impact of my champ is good or bad until you play a stage game, and then you realize it's like you kind of get the feeling of the strengths and weaknesses of that champ more.
Yeah.
On a stage game, you're like, wow, you know, it's really weak at this. That's a really big issue. But in scrims, it's like you just gloss over it because, you know, maybe you're bot lane smurfing or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, you don't get the impact of like the champion strength.
Say it.
Quite what I remember.
Say I'm good.
Excuse me.
It's funny, but I remember one of the biggest cases of that was like the Pobelter, Vladimir, and Nivea matchup also. And then
Oh, yeah.
you try to play international, and it was like, oh shit, I guess I didn't play against any good Vladimir players in it, and it's actually unplayable. So like some stuff like that can have huge impacts on the course of
I
history.
mean, that's why practice partners matter so much, right? Because you don't actually, it can be really hard to know, even if you're winning every game or whatever. It's like, is this actually correct? Or is my opponent just like not showing me why it's bad? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that makes it really, really difficult. And that's something that I think when I talk to pros, like a lot of people struggle with, especially, I don't know how it is for you guys now, but traditionally a lot of the teams that aren't at the top are not actually in the best scrim brackets, right? Or scrim circles or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So if you're not actually like playing against the best teams on a weekly basis, you might be bringing out your Lee Sin and slapping people down left and right. And then all of a sudden you're on stage and you're against Impact or whatever. And it looks like a joke, right? You're like, well, turns out this is trash. So I'm like,
Last week, like we were doing makeup, and then I come back to Immortal CLG, and there's MF Nautilus versus Sivir Nami, and I'm just sitting there, just like, what the hell is going on? I've never seen these picks before. Like, how did this happen? You know? So yeah, there is scrim groups where the top teams are scrimming top teams, and there's that meta, and then there's like the other meta.
are you guys in the Cool Kids Club now?
Oh, now we are, yeah.
Yeah.
We
You got
can like
invited to the table.
We can be like a little late
You
for
can
scrims
sit
if
with
we
C9
want.
and stuff now.
We can
No, I
threaten-
mean it does go that far too.
We
It's
can
like
threaten people.
It's like they take longer in review, and you just sit there. And if you take too long in review, they're like, "Guys, we're waiting." Like it goes all the way down.
No, the thing is, like, I've just been like an LCS random for too long. It's my time to shine. I'm
Yeah.
gonna ego on people in scrim.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the actual scrim egos are coming out.
Yeah.
That's
No,
hilarious.
a lot of it's just banter. Honestly, I
Yeah.
don't really care if people are late and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can just like there definitely is a meta of the teams that can get the good scrims can definitely pressure the other teams.
That's what I've heard as well. Like Sven talked about that. I mean, we've been talking about scrims a lot because obviously it's been a big topic with kind of the change up. Team Liquid and FlyQuest and stuff were like really vocal about like, we're gonna like outwork everyone and we're gonna be playing these extra scrim blocks and that's gonna be kind of the new wave. We had CLG's GM come on and he was talking about, well, he thinks that like actually they're getting like one more game in maybe in like 3 more hours because they're just like taking a lot of time in between games and stuff. So it is like a big topic of discussion, right? Like how the scrims work and like who gets to scrim who and who can get away with taking super long times. Because I've heard that there's a few teams that are like pretty well known. Some people have told me complain about Team Liquid. Often like if they have a bad game, they're making you wait forever to get in the next game, but maybe they can get away with it.
You might be right about that last team. Usually, honestly, I think the teams that have the older players who are actually going to take more time to review the game and look at the overall game are going to take a lot longer. Like when I played with Afro, that was a really common thing. We were the team that took forever to review the games because Afro wants to look at every single thing, right? But yeah, I think for us in particular, it also depends on your coaching staff and stuff too. But like our coaches are pretty chill. We're usually pretty aware and like kind of responsible for the mistakes we made in the game. So it's like, I messed up my lane. Everyone's just taking accountability. We can review in 5-10 minutes, and then we're just waiting most of the time. So
I feel like it would benefit the whole league if the Players Association or somebody actually took a little bit more power in organizing the scrims / champions queue, like daily schedule basically for everybody, because there are little efficiencies. It's in between game reviews if you could have some sort of thing like mandating the maximum time or whatever, but also even, you know, shortening the time period between the two scrim blocks by an hour or something. You know, we've heard a lot. So my pitch is start 1 hour earlier and shorten the break 1 hour earlier, and you'll have 2 extra hours at the end of your day that then you can either, you know, prep for Champions Queue or, you know, stream or review VODs or whatever. But obviously, it's really difficult to coordinate the schedules of all these various pro players that are on different sleep schedules and different management and all that.
You have to wake up the crack of noon for scrims, you know?
I'm petitioning to put it at 11.
Absolutely.
It's like, oh my.
Come on.
No, the
Fox
thing
don't
is-
even go that early.
I mean, I don't want to keep like tooting our own horn, you know, but like I think the Golden Guardians players are probably the most like human kind of players. Like we could wake up at like 9 a.m., 10 a.m. and we'll be fine, you know?
The most jacked, the most handsome, the most talented, wake up
The thing
early.
is, like Golden Guardians kind of has a criteria, you know, for like it's like they want people to be responsible as people.
They want people to be mostly
like,
human.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, our players aren't staying up till 3, 4 a.m.
No gremlins
playing,
allowed
you know?
on Golden Guardians.
Yeah, literally. We're sleeping 8 hours.
Yeah.
We take our vitamins, you know, all that stuff.
And those things to me really do help, especially when you're looking at the top bracket of the league. My question kind of is, what was the thing that inside the team that really did change for you to get to this point? Because we've had some cool interviews with you guys before, and both of you actually mentioned Huhi and a certain level of flame or feedback.
He's toxic as fuck.
Can confirm.
Yeah. Was there something? Because you also mentioned kind of struggling at the beginning of the season, not just due to players not being here, but anything specific for clicking, or is it just?
I mean, I think it's just like Huhi is a shot caller.
Yep.
And like you can function without a shot caller. It takes a lot longer. You know, you have to figure out who's responsible for what, who's covering what, and you kind of just like work it out naturally. Jay just comes in, he tells us what to do. That helps us like a lot right away. You know, you're coming in day one, someone's telling you what to do, how to play together. That's like huge.
Do you think, because we had a question last dive, who lost out more? Was it EG losing Impact or 100 Thieves losing Jay? Do you think the 100 Thieves team right now, so much is going wrong for them? They seem like they would benefit from?
I mean, the thing is, when I say this, I don't mean it in terms of like he's just hands diffing better or anything like that. It's just like if 100 Thieves had Huhi, they would have a lot more wins. I think straight up, like he just kind of coordinates, especially their stage games, really well. So
That's why I said too.
I mean, it depends if they would listen to him too, because like they have a lot of big voices on that team. So like when you get too many big voices, it's like the opposite problem, and like you could run into issues that way too. So like I don't even know if it'd be a good fit.
Well, and it's interesting, right? Because you're saying like right from the word go, he came in and basically told everyone how to play.
Yeah.
But I think that also requires a certain level of respect for like everyone has to like respect that person's opinion. Because like if I join your team and I tell everyone how to play, you're gonna be like, first of all, like, you know what I mean? Like you need that level of respect, and it's cool that he was able to command that. Obviously, you have a previous relationship with him. You never played with him before, right?
So it's pretty much never talked to him before.
Yeah.
This year.
So how is that then, right? Like, was he able to come in and kind of like build that relationship with everyone on the team right away, or was it a bit of a transition period? If he's just kind of like coming in, and he's like, all right, guys, I'm gonna tell you what's what.
Honestly, a lot of it is waiting to see what someone's like on stage, because people are just different from scrims to stage. Like every single player I've ever met is different in scrims than they are on stage. And some people are like more focused, some people are louder, some people are quieter. Like there's a lot of things that can be different. So it's like, I was like, okay, we'll see how Jay is on stage. He's won a lot, like recently too. So like, you know, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. And then like when he's on stage, he like turns on. So I was like, cool, I'll listen to this guy. But
yeah, it's also like he came from a winning team, right?
Yeah.
So I think naturally you're just gonna respect him more because it's like, you know, maybe there's a reason he made back-to-back finals. You know, maybe we should try listening to him. So
I feel like that's the original ranked solo queue, even where the highest rated person was going to be first pick, and everyone would default to you know trusting first pick because they're like, well, you're higher rated, obviously, gonna be smarter.
I missed that one.
How much would you say there? Like, so we guys obviously are kind of like joking a bit about like Huhi being toxic. Like, what kind of feedback is he giving then? Like, is there a little bit of that like kind of harsh truth, or is it more like actually he's a little bit toxic secretly, or is it just he's very kind of nitpicky and wants to point out every little mistake you make? Because it's interesting to hear about, right? Because there's always been in the community this kind of perception of like who he's great to have on your team and like who he's this great leader and all these things. But I don't know that anyone's ever really talked about like what details he's really bringing that is truly like improving the team that he's on.
I think first off, he's really careful in the way that he criticizes people, as he just makes sure people knows it's not some personal attack, you
You messed up this bot wave and you look really stupid.
Yeah. He's not saying that to me, But also because like me and his history, like he's able to be a little more brutal with me, I guess. Which like I'm chill with. I'm okay with it. But I think his like number one way of just improving others is just the way he goes about it. We call him, was it like snide remarks? He just makes a lot of comments, a lot of comments
During the game?
You're missing a lot of CS this game. He does it to our coaches all the time. He goes to our coaches, wow, enemy team draft looks really good. He says stuff like that, and to where it's humorous, but it kind of gets the point across at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like with every joke, there's a bit of a truth.
Does that tilt anyone though? Because that would tilt me. If it was like the CS thing, if it's like, I know.
Okay, if I was tilted, I would maybe not accept it well. But like I usually with him, he's just always laughing. Like how am I going to be mad at him?
Okay, yeah. The delivery is obviously very important there.
Yeah.
Because it can become either funny or like, ooh, that's pretty passive aggressive.
Yeah. But for me, I've never gotten that feeling that it's passive aggressive.
That's good.
So, and I think it goes the same for everyone else, hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, I don't get the same treatment he does. Like for me, Jay's a pretty normal teammate. It's probably because I haven't known him long enough to like get more of that side of him, but he's been pretty normal. I don't know what he used to be like on CLG and stuff, but
I don't really remember too much, but he was just nicer. I remember that.
nicer. Yeah.
Whenever I hang out with him outside or like after parties or anything, he's always super duper nice and complimentary. So that's why I always assume I'm like, he must be the nicest cuddly little teammate.
There's a lot of pro players that like you meet them in person, you're like, wow, that's such a nice guy, and then you put a keyboard and mouse in front of them,
Just demons.
and suddenly they're just a demon. Like I don't know, man.
And put him in solo queue. That's a whole nother layer of it.
Well, that's understandable. Solo queue
No, I
is
get
just
that
an
one.
insane asylum. That's completely reasonable.
He's done a number on me.
You've been in there long enough.
Yeah.
Some things are going to happen.
Yeah.
I kind of did want to circle back and tackle the topic we were talking about before, where we're analyzing actually some of the problems of these teams that none of us expected to be at the bottom, 100 Thieves and Team Liquid. If you're looking at 100 Thieves, what are they doing so wrong? Where would you start in trying to fix this team? Because they're tweeting out, stuff like, we got to fix our early game. We can't even play the game yet. That seems like a good place to start just because that's the first part of the game. But there's definitely bigger issues as far as even, teleport timings or team fight coordination. There's so much stuff.
And I had one little thing. Are you guys even surprised that they are at the bottom?
Not really.
Team Liquid, I'm surprised. But 100 Thieves, not really.
Yeah.
So what are the standouts then? One way or the other?
Like players?
Or just teams? Like which is surprising you?
Who's surprising me?
Who's the standings? If you
Honestly, CLG surprised me a bit. And TSM. Even though they have like a losing record, I didn't expect them to even be at 6, at least as of now. And the top teams, it's kind of expected, I think. Maybe the Guardians surprised some people too. Maybe we can toss myself in there. But I just think like, this goes for us as well, is just losing is a mindset and winning is a mindset. So like earlier you'd asked when we were 0-4, like how did we kind of get out of it? Honestly, we just started doing better in scrims. We started building confidence, and then we won, 2-0 on stage. Oh, that felt good. Okay, we come back the next week, we're a little more confident. We won again. And it's just a snowball, right? You win, you get more confident, you play better. You can also start to feel the effect of, I can feel they're playing a lot more scared versus me now. I'm in their head a bit because, we're on some win streak. So it's the same thing for the losing teams. They're going onto stage just thinking, I really don't want to lose today. I really don't want to lose today. And they're playing worse. They're playing more scared. I really just think it's a mindset. So
How do you get out of that then, right? Because you guys have been on it's interesting, right? Because you guys have had this career. I don't know. I talked about your career last week and stuff on the dive because I think it's really interesting. And you can stop me at any point if you disagree. But it felt like you came in 2016 like about as hot as you could have as like a rookie player, right? And you similar as well, right? Like you made an MSI finals, you made a world semis like very early on in your career, and people are like, these guys are going to be, some of the greatest players we've ever had in NA. And then, things cooled off for one reason or another. You guys ended up on different teams. You were coaching for a while, then you're in academy. You were obviously on some teams that were losing a lot more. You had to kind of shift. I know you talked on stage about the mindset of being an underdog versus being a favorite was changing a lot, like when you were on FlyQuest and stuff. So like, how do you turn that around then? Because so many people, I think, in the community are quick to overlook or like older players, or well, not that you're old, but you know what I mean? Like if you're not brand new, it's like, well, you can't improve anymore. Like we've already seen Stixxay, we've already seen Licorice. These guys are ass, right? Like they're not going to get good again, but here you are and you're towards the top of the table. So how do you kind of shift that mindset? Or
It's very difficult. I will say that. I think for me, yeah, like obviously when I joined in 2016, I thought I was pretty good back then. I definitely felt like I could hold my own versus everyone. And then I kept playing 2017, 2018. Still thought I was pretty good. 2019 had like a really rough spring, I remember, and then got a lot better in summer. I had it was like a bit of a W, it was like a up, down, a little bump. And then 2020 was just downhill for me.
yeah,
And that's where I really started to struggle and just felt like I'm in like a hole that I couldn't get out of in terms of like losing and just my mindset. It's like I was just showing up to every LCS game. Or maybe not showing up because we were playing from like our apartments and COVID and all that. But I was playing every LCS game and I was just playing not to lose. I was just thinking, man, like I just feel like I'm going to lose today, no matter what. And it's really hard to snap out of that. I'm sure you experienced similar things on FlyQuest.
Yeah.
And it's just really hard. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just hard because at the end of the day, you're only 20% of your team, right?
Yeah.
And there's so many things that go into each team. Like there's a reason that people pay close attention to like what coach they're hiring and what analysts they have and like all the staff behind it. But you go on stage and then like, I don't know, when you're on a bad team, it's like you make one mistake and the game's over. Like that's what it feels like. When you're on a top team, it's like, oh, you messed up a fight. There's another fight,
but
like,
bot lane's doing well if you're not doing well. Or
yeah, like there was like the EG Fly game today, and it's like back and forth. Like one player messes up a fight, and then another player messes up the next fight, and it's like you're still in the game. But when you're on a bottom team, like a team that's not doing well, it's like you mess up one fight, and the game's over. You instantly lost. You go to review, you're like, well, I messed up once here, and like when I was on top team and I messed up once here, it was fine. So like I'm bad, I guess. Like it's just like it's this really weird world that you live in when you're on a bottom team. Like it's like totally different.
How do you self-evaluate then in those situations, right? Because obviously like it's hard, we only see so many games, we only see so many stage games. It is obvious that like if a team is good, your mistakes can kind of be pasted over, you have more opportunities to shine and your teammates are going to enable you better, so you're going to look better, just kind of force multiplier. But how do you accurately evaluate your skills then? Like do you guys think that like, hey, I was actually always this good, things just didn't work out, like unlucky team, unlucky circumstance? Or do you actually think that, hey, like, no, I've figured some things out and it's not just team changed, I got better?
I think it's really hard to know. Like for me, at least, I don't know if you feel differently, but for me, it's like when I'm on a bottom team, it's like making mistakes, got to learn from them. When you're winning, making mistakes, got to learn from them. Like it's always the same thing. And just like, you just hope that someday the wins are going to start coming in if you fix enough mistakes. And like, that's it. Like when I was on a top team, when I joined C9, I was like, oh, I'm so much better than everyone else. Like, oh, I'm so good at League of Legends. And then I spent some time on a bottom team and I'm like, huh.
You start to
So
question
this
everything.
is what the other side is like. And like, I mean, it's totally changed the way I think about players and like rankings and stuff. Cause I just think like, you can't know. You really can't know as a player. Unless someone's like really like, they don't know their lane matchups or something, which does happen. Like it's so hard to tell.
Yeah, I never really liked like tier lists and stuff like that because it's like you said, it's just there's so many factors that go into how a player is. Like even this year, like you asked, like, oh, do you think maybe have you just been playing the same the whole time and like your team just got better? And like, yeah, kind of. Like I guess for me in particular, I was like a type of player where I never would play my role as like an AD carry. Like I would watch some AD carries that say like Reckless or something where he's like, this guy's just, he's playing AD carry, he's going to stand back, he's going to farm up, and he's going to be an AD carry. And then there's me, and I felt like I was always more of like a aggressive player, and I would kind of want to be in your face. And so, when, I don't know, my team's losing and like no one on my team is checking like some super important thing that needs to happen. We need to walk into the Dragon or the Baron, guys. I'm just like, okay, I'll just do it then. and then I end up dying, and it's like, what the hell is that guy doing? You know? So yeah.
How do you stay away from almost?
I actually wanted to add on that. There was a game, not this game versus Immortals that we just played, but the last game we played versus Immortals. I was playing Renekton, and it was like tactical walked up and face checked me in dot bush when we were on Baron as Lucian, and just like lost flash, lost cleanse, lost Gale Force. And it was like really bad, but like his team wasn't walking up. It's like exactly what Trevor's talking about. Like he had to check that dot bush in order to get vision on the Baron, and it's just like things like that happen, and it's just like, is it his fault? Like kind of, but like if he doesn't, he's probably just going to lose anyway. So it's just so hard. Yeah.
Are there any particular players right now that you feel like are suffering from that? Like either rated way too low by the community, but it's not their fault, or
too high,
or the other way too high?
I mostly avoid community stuff. I think Revenge is actually playing quite well these days. I don't know what the public opinion is.
Ignore community. Just look at like basic standings, right?
Yeah.
Is someone on a bottom team you think is really
I think
good?
Revenge has had a lot of really good games against top teams, and then like something bad will happen and it'll lose. Like there was like the game versus C9, and he was like winning his lane pretty hard. Blabber was like helping out Fudge, and then Fudge went bot lane and got a triple kill. And then the game's over.
Oh, dude, I would have been so tilted.
Yeah,
I remember that game.
Like that,
I would have just lost my mind.
Fudge played well, right? to like get a triple kill, and like he like got himself into a good position, but
if Fudge was on
but from
Immortals,
Revenge's perspective, like there was like nothing he could do, you know? So it's just like, oh man, it's hard.
Yeah, I think that's a really good one because the Cloud9 members, multiple Cloud9 members have also called out Revenge. Do you think, are there any other players?
Could you scroll down the standings here? I can't even think.
Let's get down there.
All of us.
Dignitas. I think Tomo's playing really well. I think he's been like a pretty good addition to their team.
I agree. They actually look so much more competitive with him. Even in their losses, at least like he feels like he is playing to win. You know?
Yeah, no, that's exactly the mindset thing I was talking about. Dude, this guy came in and he was like stomping Academy, right? Mm-hmm. So he's coming in, he's like, yeah, I'm the shit, man. That actually is really surprised me that he didn't back that off on the stage games, because like in scrims I could see how like you could kind of just YOLO, it's fine, but like he's doing it on stage games too. Mm-hmm. He's just playing really confidently, and like he honestly looks like a top half 80 carry right now.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think Bolulu as well kind of stood out to me a little bit in like having a bit of that like swagger, at least on his stage games. Yeah. Obviously he's just played 2 games, but like it's nice for me personally when a player comes in a league and they're not just like, all right, I'm playing Orin and Azir and I'm like, I'm standing under my tower and like, we'll see what happens, right? Yeah. I like when people come in and it's like, all right, Bolu's known for Zoe and he just like picks it yesterday, and like, obviously they could have lost that game. There was a lot of things going on in that game, but I just like to see players playing what is their strength, right? Because at the end of the day, it's like you make it to LCS for a reason. And I think too many teams, I'm not sure how you guys feel about this, but I feel like so many teams are just like, all right, bot lane is the meta, like currently, right? Mm-hmm. So we got to play through bot, and like top is weak side, and this is how we're going to do it. And then they're just like chain losing every game and don't mix it up, right? Like I think about TL a lot when I think about this. It's like, okay, pretty much everyone, I don't know if you agree with this, thinks that Summit is like, that I talk to is the best 1v1 top laner in the league. Yeah. So like, why are we still playing towards bot here, guys? Like, why not, just like camp top? And when they did that yesterday, they actually won. It was kind of cool to see them.
They did,
mixing it up, right? And that wasn't even playing. I honestly forgot it was against you guys until you had that reaction. But
there's some things we can.
I'm sure there's a lot of things to can be considered there. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, that game, it's just like, I don't know if it was like a draft problem, and I'm not trying to blame you, but like, it's like if they can gank top that many times, then we should get something somewhere else. And we just didn't get something somewhere else. Like I actually played a pretty good weak side game until I tried to get the tower, and then I died.
He went like 2 or 3 times before he actually like interacted with you. He was saying,
like he was, I watched the replay and I was like, oh my God, like this guy was there a lot. And like, I was scared to jump in because I like kind of felt like the danger, but like whether that's like a consistent strategy to win the game.
Yeah.
I doubt it. But I mean, they won the game, so like,
But just more like as like a holistic thing, do you think that teams really have to be like kind of like meta slave type style, and like, or should more teams be playing to their strengths? Because to me, it's like you look at a lot of the teams that are struggling, and it's like if you're just imitating what the top teams are doing but doing it worse, how does that ever do anything for you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the biggest offender is 100 Thieves. Like it was, I think they went 0-3 in the Super Week.
Yep.
And then it was like...
Then 0-2 the next week also.
Yeah, but it was really clear, like, their draft plan. It was like, I think their top was just picking, like, Siren or Orin, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just watching the games, I'm like, dude, they're not going to win like this. Tenacity's not going to just be a tank player. Like, if anything, you should be helping this guy. Like, maybe he can carry games like that, but that team has like a bit of a identity issue where like they do want to play to bot, but they also want to play to top. So yeah, that's a team where I think like they should probably not follow the meta, and they're trying to force it, and it's just not working.
It's interesting because like he was obviously known as like kind of like a crazy player. I don't know how he is in scrims. That's what I've heard is he's like 10-0-0-10, like kind of going at you type thing. Kemi's another guy that it's like when he came in, he was obviously known for playing carries, and like the only wins they're really getting, he has like 1 win on Graves and like 1 win on Kindred, not really anything else.
Yeah, he's a bit of a scrim demon.
I've heard that he's actually really good in scrims.
Yeah, we definitely don't have a good record versus Immortals in scrims.
We actually, it's funny. Our coach complains about this a lot. Shall I say? We have a really winning scrim record versus all the top teams, and we have a losing record versus all the bottom teams.
Yeah, and by really winning, we mean like 90% versus all the top teams, but like maybe like 80-90%
Against FlyQuest, C9, EG?
I haven't scrimmed C9 for some reason.
Okay.
Yeah, C9 we don't scrim.
I don't know.
EG
I don't know.
I don't know what the background story is there, but yeah, versus like the bottom half teams, our scrims are so much harder, and I don't know if it's us. I don't know if they're just performing in scrims. I don't know what it is, man.
Well, I've heard it from several teams that they expected Team Liquid to be higher, and you guys expected them to be higher as well from scrim data. And those were the two that I really want to get your deeper thoughts on, because so many people had high expectations for 100 Thieves and for Team Liquid. For TL, what are they not doing on stage that they do accomplish in scrims that everybody seems to have this super high opinion still?
I don't know that they beat us in scrims that much, actually.
Yeah, I don't remember our scrims versus them that much, but I do remember. I mean, I watched like their squad documentary, I think it's called, or their squad weekly series thing, and like they seem to just struggle with just nerves and stuff like that, and like confidence. Like, I mean, if you watch their players after a game, like they're not happy. I don't know. They seem to have some weird like specific issues, maybe. So.
I mean, that's something that I think a lot of people, it's interesting because it's not really talked about that much, I feel like, in LCS, because in League, you play like every single week on stage, so people accumulate so much experience. And a lot of other esports where it's like a tournament circuit, there's so much more of your time for your games is played online, and then they show up every once in a while to a tournament. So like LAN jitters and stuff like that is what people always talk about. But like that transition obviously like can be difficult, I think, for a lot of players. You guys have had a lot of experience. Like at this point, does it basically just feel like the same? It's just like there's no difference there?
No, I mean, for me, it's always different. Stage and scrims, like, I don't know, because you just care more, right? Like, you can't help but care more about a stage match than a scrim. So you are gonna feel differently. Like, I think that's just how it works, at least for me. And I don't know, it's something that comes and goes, like how comfortable I feel on stage. Like sometimes I feel really comfortable, and sometimes I'm like struggling. Like it's just like, I don't know, I'm just a human, you know?
For me, it comes with winning and losing. Like, even though we actually talked about this before, is like, even though we've been playing for 7 years or whatever it is now, and people do not want to hear the excuse of, oh, I was nervous on stage, but like, dude, it happens to us too, you know? But like, from my perspective, once you start winning a lot, that goes away almost entirely, and you can really just go to town on stage if you want. But yeah, as you lose more, it gets worse and worse, maybe, especially if you're on like a losing streak.
And it makes sense. You kind of shy away from things that's like, oh, well, when I did this last week, it lost me the game. Right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah.
Oh, actually, something we've talked about is like when I was on a bottom teams and I would like make a play in the game and it would go badly, then I would like, some part of me would be like, oh, like that play was kind of bad, you know, like in my brain, like, you know, like I got bad chemicals after I like died. My whole team died. We lost. You know, like unironically. And I've had this weird experience now where I'm like on a stage match and I'm doing the right thing. Like I'm Jax, I'm flanking. I have a really good flank. And some part of my brain is like, oh, I think this is bad. And it's like leftover from when I was like on a bad team and losing, doing the right thing. So it's just like,
you were abused on these low-ranking teams.
It's hard,
I swear, it's how it feels,
dude. It is hard. Yeah. Like it is rough down there.
What is like your biggest piece of advice then for both of you? I'm so curious to players who are now like on these teams that are struggling, because you guys have kind of like come through it out the other side.
No, like I always mention, like after we play a team that's like really struggling, I always go to my team. I'm like, fuck, I feel so bad, man. Like I just feel so bad, and they're just looking at me like, why do you feel bad? We should win. You know, they're gonna.
Me too.
They're not gonna feel bad for you. They're not gonna feel bad for you if they won. And I'm just like, I just know how it is, man. Like, it just sucks. It just sucks.
Yeah. I mean, you just power through, or you don't. Like, there's not really advice to give. It's like you work on your mistakes the best you can, and like maybe you'll get to a good team, and maybe you'll like your career will just run out. You know, like that's just how it goes.
I mean, you mentioned the bad chemicals in your brain, but that actually is what happens. You know, you're expecting dopamine hit, and then it doesn't get there, and then it feels even worse, and you're conditioned to feel that over and over again, and so then you really have that self-doubt creeping in.
Yeah,
and I think that's one of these core issues when you're talking about the effect of snowballing and winning, and how I'm getting that like it just washes away so many problems. Yeah. Because there is that effect of then you're also going to be more confident in your plays, and you're going to be more proactive, and you're going to be able to play better.
It does work the other way too, though. Yeah. I will say, if you're on a top team and you do the wrong thing and you win the team fight, you got those good chemicals. And now you're all confused. So like, you know,
you're like, Lisa in top, we win every single scrim. This shit is crazy.
Exactly.
Trevor's like, it might have been my legendary Israel performance.
That week of scrims, it was like we were just winning every lane, and like we would just win the game in like 20 minutes. Like that's how it felt. So.
Winning fixes a lot of issues. I'll say that.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah, Huhi's criticisms, if you're lost 7 games in a row, might be a little bit more annoying.
Yeah.
Do you guys think then, because it's interesting, right? Like you guys both kind of said you felt like, hey, we're on shit teams, we were kind of the same players, even though you would probably agree, almost all the community is going to have you rated much lower. Tier list and all that stuff is going to be based off literally just what we see on stage. So at the end of the day, like, do you think that? Well, community probably think is bad at evaluating player strength, but do you even think that the teams are good at evaluating it, right? Are teams, you think, like overlooking some of these players who are on bad teams, but could actually be really good? Because you guys are examples. I bet you probably weren't getting a lot of offers from top teams anymore.
I mean, yeah, of course. Like, I don't know. Like, I think I'm pretty good. I didn't have any offers. Like that's all my evidence right there.
Yeah, and like part of me wonders how much the entertainment value comes in, because I got kind of a unique perspective when I was coaching for a bit.
Yeah.
Where I was not playing as much. I'm just watching the games. I'm looking. Yeah, I don't really want to watch Dig versus Immortals or something. Like, I don't really care about the players or anything. Like, people have to care about the LCS players to watch the games.
Yeah.
I think like for us, it's obviously we've had a pretty, I guess, like lucky split, and people actually want to watch us now because Golden Guardians is winning. Oh shit, maybe I should tune in and I should check out what's going on, So we've definitely maybe drawn some more attention there. But yeah, I think that definitely has to do with the way that people perceive you. Is like, do fans want to watch me play in the LCS? So, and most of the time the answer is they'd rather just see some new young kid who like might be insane come in.
Mm-hmm. So who's rank 1 or whatever.
Yeah, like has these crazy highlights or something. Yeah. Like, oh, I'd love to see that guy.
I always feel when I'm looking at, people making posts or even GM moves and stuff, a lot of the time there's a lot of emphasis placed on the individual player and, plays or stats or whatever, without thinking about how they're playing with the rest of the team. Mm-hmm. I feel like there's so much in a League of Legends team that is how and who you're playing with, rather than people always condense it down to an individual. And maybe that's where a lot of the leeway comes from in evaluating players and even the entertainment factor coming into.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, like, people are doing their best. Like, it's a hard job to be a league scout, and it's really hard to look at a team and look at players and be like, I think this player is good because he's like doing well on this team, and I think this player is like bad. Like, it's really hard. Like, you can't know for sure, and at the end of the day, you're always guessing. So some players are always going to slip through the cracks, and I think that's just how it goes.
It's interesting to me that you mentioned kind of like the entertainment. Some players are more entertaining. Do you ever think about that? Do you ever fall into that trap, kind of like when you're in pick ban, or when you're like, maybe I could look for this play. Like, this would be kind of nice.
No, I don't.
But
really, it's your 40th game in a row of like whatever AD you least like playing. Yeah. But you're like, this is probably 2% higher chance to win, I could play this other.
This could be my Danny.
I'm just trying to win.
Pentakill.
Nah, I'm just trying to win. I'll pick whatever I have to pick. Best chance of winning.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What about you? It's the 48th straight year of Orange duty. Are you trying to break free? Are you trying to convince the team that do
you want to win or do you want to have fun?
There was a period where I was like, I would like pick things that maybe weren't the best chance of winning. And at the time I was like, oh, well, it's to practice different styles. you know, I think it was a mix. Like this is back when I was on C9, and like I don't know, but I think like I spent some time on bottom teams, straightened me out. I was like, okay, I'm like I gotta play properly, I gotta play well, I gotta work on my mistakes, do the best thing I can do. You know.
How do you kind of walk the line then between like trying to play, because you're saying all you want to do is win, right? So you're going to try to play what wins. How do you not fall into almost like a level of complacency where you're just like, well, this has worked for us now for 3 or 4 weeks in a row. Like, let's not change it up. Because we've seen over the years in LCS a number of teams who are really good in regular season, but they kind of just have like their one style. I think like Summit was a big example of this, where people are like, the man won MVP, and I think very rightfully so for his regular season performance. But then it completely fell apart in playoffs, I think largely because they played their one way, and you could kind of take it apart in a best of where, you know, you're kind of really focusing more on how to beat a team.
It's hard. It's hard to branch out because like when you're winning and you lose, people don't like that. You know, fans don't like that. Doesn't feel good. So ideally, you want to like branch out and keep winning.
Because you've had what, 6 games of Renekton, I think now, right? Or 5?
Yeah. I've played a lot.
Today was 6th, I think.
Yeah,
right.
might have been.
And that's no flame, right? It's interesting, right? Because it's like, okay, it's great to keep winning. You want to get as best playoff seeding as you could possibly get. But if you play so much Renekton that like that is the way that you guys know how to play, then what happens when Renekton is just banned in the first playoff series, right? So it's like, is that not part of your thought process of like, yeah, I know Renekton is the best way to win today, but like, what about next week? What about the finals? What about?
I don't really think about champions that way. I think more about play style, because I think if it's like I'm a tank player, right, and I can't play carries, and then all of a sudden we go to playoffs and it's carry meta, like that's a problem. But like, if you're just picking something when Renekton's up and it's just worse now, like I don't know, it's just like not as good. So.
Also, you have like the whole week of scrims where you maybe trying new stuff, so you kind of get a feel for what could work or what could not work. But especially in a best of one, like you're just like, I'm just gonna win in this best of one.
Yeah.
So it's like you have all week to practice these different styles, all these different things, but like just try to win the actual stage match. So.
Well, I noticed the new shoes as well. We were talking about before we started the episode.
Oh yeah.
What are you doing to manufacture?
Get them up there on the table. Got to show the fans at home. Let's
Can I
see.
put my foot on the table?
Yeah, you can.
Oh, all right. Let's see if I can.
Let's see.
It's basically
You do it.
It comes out like what are you doing to
Oh, look at the zoom. We got to zoom in.
Yeah. So we won.
keep the snowballing rolling and
So
keep the winning attitude.
I'll just put this out there. We went on a 7-win streak. We got new pants, new shoes. We're getting some nice dinners.
Yeah.
Hey, I kind of like winning, you know?
Yeah. It turns out it's not just the players you like winning. It's all the staff as well. So
That's how, you know, you can just like hit the certain tier, right? Like 7 wins with new shoes and pants. What if, you know, you get to finals? Like, what are you getting then, right?
We'll find out. I
And
don't
then
know.
Rolexes for Golden Guardians,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh, I hope so.
we've been talking about business class flights to MSI.
That'd be nice. That'd be nice.
Nick is trying to give you incentives, a different tiered system of incentives to be able to keep the winning going.
Yeah.
I like it.
They're just like trickling in on us right now. How does this feel, guys? You want some more?
It reminds me, I don't know if you ever had this in Canada, but in like elementary school and stuff in the US, oftentimes you'll have to like do these sell raffle tickets or like wrapping paper or something
get
like
some
that.
reward
Yeah,
for it.
and
Yeah.
you get these different tiered systems.
Win an LCS game.
Exactly.
Unlock a new shirt.
Yeah.
It's the battle pass. It's the LCS
Actually,
battle
yeah.
pass.
Hey, I'm down.
The
I like
7 wins, new shoes.
it. Yeah. It's like an instant dopamine now.
Yeah.
I love it.
At this point in the split, you know, I'm sure you guys are feeling very confident you're going to make playoffs, right? Traditionally, 9 wins is generally like the playoff line or thereabout in LCS. You already have 8. So are you starting to look forward now to like, okay, what do we need to learn for playoffs? What do we need to learn for best of fives? How do we actually win this split? Because I know earlier you guys are saying, yeah, like we believe we can actually go to some MSI, we can win. So at what point do you start transitioning your focus beyond just like the next game?
Put in perspective. I mean, I guess for me, I kind of had that thought after we won that 3-0 Super Week and we were like on a 5-win streak at that point.
Yeah.
I was kind of feeling like, oh shit, like we're actually kind of good now, or maybe considered good, whatever. But actually, no, that's a lie, because we actually played the 4 weaker teams and 100 Thieves, who I also felt was on like a downward
Had to
trend.
be the C9.
Yeah, so it was a C9 EG. So it was after we hit the 7-win streak. Then I was like, oh, like we're for real, you know? The only team we haven't beat yet is FlyQuest, and Team Liquid, unfortunately. But yeah, I kind of started just feeling like, oh man, like I really want to go to, where's MSI? Oh, London. I want to go to London. That sounds fun.
Go to London in your new shoes.
Yeah, and my new Air Force Ones. The finals is in
I think it's in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Raleigh, yeah. I think Nick Smith's from there.
Oh.
Something. So we're trying to go back there for him. But yeah, I just kind of had my sights set on, dude, I want to travel. I want to play international competition. I want to go farther than I have been. So that's my motivation right now. But
So or go ahead.
I was gonna say it is something you start thinking about. Like when you lose a lot, you don't really think about MSI or Worlds. But like we started winning, and then like for me too, I started thinking about it. And I'd say as far as like mindset goes for playoffs and like preparing for playoffs, I think we want to make sure we get top 4 first, because if you let's say you experiment one weekend in LCS, right? You drop out those games, that drops you to top 6 in playoffs. Now you're single elimination. So you potentially gave up 5 playoff games, which is like totally not worth it. So I think like it's like secure top 4 and then worry about playoffs, because you're going to get better practice in playoffs than you are outside of it.
So if we're assuming that top 6 right now are the playoff bracket,
Yeah.
which of these for your lane, for top laners, do you not want to fight? And which would you really like to be your first matchup?
So the top 6 right now is FlyQuest, C9, EG, you guys, TSM, and CLG, if I recall correctly, right?
yep.
I don't know, man. I just don't want to play against Summit. That guy's really good.
All right. So you're happy that
He's
currently
number 7. You're good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
So playoffs
that's
are free.
fine.
That-
Like, that's
lock it
fine.
in. This is good.
Shouldn't have lost yesterday.
What about you
Yeah, what
for
were you thinking?
what about you for bottom lanes?
Bottom lanes. Oh man, I'm about to sound like a egomaniac, dude. I don't care about bottom lanes. Like, I actually think me and Huhi can like beat everyone. Just based off like how I feel with him, playing with him, our stage games, our scrim games. Like, I think we might actually be like one of the best. So
So now that you earlier said you hate tier lists, what would you, so you said Summit would be your number 1 guy. Give me your top 3. I'm curious for both of you. Like, who would be the top 3 in your role that you like as far as what your experience is?
I'm going to say,
So you got Summit number 1.
based on what I've seen, I'm going to say Summit and then Fudge and then maybe Revenge in number 3.
Oh wow, that's This is something that's so consistent. A lot of pros really speak highly of Revenge, but the community is not hot on him. So it's interesting.
I think his last year, I don't know if I wasn't watching him closely enough, but my impression of him last year was that he wasn't very good. But this year, it feels like he's really stepped it up. And I don't know, it just takes people a lot of time to change their opinions. So
Perception is always way behind reality. What about you? Your top 3?
Oh, I mean, also for that, like he's still on a bottom team, and people think he's a lot better. So I think that speaks a lot, right? For me, probably like Berserker, Prince, and FBI.
In that order?
Yeah. From what I see, I think Berserker looks like the best still. And I didn't get to play versus him like in the playoffs last year, so maybe something different would happen. But but yeah, I think he's probably going to be the best. And then Prince and FBI. I just think that those 3 teams are going to be the strongest too.
Yeah, cool. So you were saying before the episode you wanted to talk a little bit about something that's been popping up a lot in esports, which is betting, right? There's betting websites. There's even over the last number of years, there's been betting scandals. I think some of it even affected some in League, but it's happened in StarCraft. It's happened in a lot of games where betting is kind of just becoming a big part of the esports world.
Yeah, my take on it was just mainly about the social media aspect of it, because I just realized that. And also, this goes with winning and losing. Like when I was losing a lot, I stopped using social media almost entirely. I have nothing to tweet. I'm just losing. I'm not going to say, sorry, I'll do better next week. Like no one wants to hear that. So I'm just going to keep my mouth shut, just keep working hard, and hopefully I can change people's minds later. But I think what I noticed is that with the addition of betting into esports, things got a lot more toxic. People are messaging me like I lost a game. And people are pissed at me because I lost them money. They're pissed at me. Like but now we're on a win streak. Dude, I have people in my DMs. Oh, thank you. You paid for my McDonald's order tonight. Thank you so much. I got to eat because of you. And I'm just like,
So the positive side also.
Yeah. Now that I'm winning, I see the positive side of it too. But
So maybe they shouldn't have been betting their dinner money.
yeah, I mean, look, I'm sure they got their own things going on there.
But the Golden Guardians dub is guaranteed wins.
yeah.
That's where the easy
But
money's out.
I just noticed that, like, I think a lot of the added toxicity into League Esports or like just social media with LCS and stuff in general, LCS players, is I think betting has a lot to do with it because people don't like when they're losing money. You know?
That's actually so interesting because it's not a perspective that I've heard literally anyone talking about, but it does make sense, right? People are going to be more vitriolic. They're going to be really excited or like really mad if they lose, especially if it's like if you guys got upset. Do you have any angry people after you lost the GL?
I don't think so.
No?
I don't. Maybe I didn't.
They're willing to let that one slide because they got 7 right in a row betting on you.
Yeah. Look, hey, my bad, guys. My bad.
You tricked us.
Yeah.
False faith.
So how are you feeling about like the meta and stuff in general, right? Like obviously there's been a lot of talk about like people feeling like League has been very samey, especially in bot lane. I don't know how you feel about top lane because a lot of people.
Top lane, they're changing a lot.
Yeah.
Top lane has been moving along. Like I feel like there's a lot of things you can play. There's a lot of picks that people haven't really explored yet. So I'm pretty happy with top lane. I'm not gonna name any here.
What about players that you don't think can adapt to it? Because you mentioned 100 Thieves when you guys are looking, or 100 Thieves when you're looking at tenacity on tanks, and you're like, oh, they're not going to win this way. Are there any individual players that you're just like, especially in your role, that you don't think are going to be able to play those multiple styles?
I mean, maybe top's different, but like, I mean, bot lane, there's not styles, you know, for bot lane. You're good at this champion or you're bad at
Well,
this
you got
champion.
that Malphite style. Then you got the regular style.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I like the, even though it's so boring to watch, like Zeri, Lucian, Nami, it's as a player, it's pretty skill expressive and it's pretty skill based. Like usually the better bot lanes are winning those.
And the game.
And the game, says the top laner. So yeah, I like that stuff. Maybe it's time for a change though. It's been a while of the same stuff.
I guess it is way more stark in top lane because like tank player, carry player, basically.
Yeah. I mean, and there's so many different champs you can play. Like, I mean, like Rumble is like a pick that is probably playable right now, but like Huni's not here, so no one's playing it. You know, like there's a bunch of random champions that like you can play almost always that are good, and so you just end up with players that play like totally different stuff instead of just like Zeri, Lucian, Varus.
Do you think that people are too focused on the like getting the the 100th game on the same pick then, right? Because like obviously people are talking about Garen. Garen came out today. Moose Hater I think was playing it. People have talked about that as like a niche answer into certain matchups. I don't think you're a Draven guy, right? But like Draven in bot lane is something that like that at least that we know of.
I got a secret Draven account. What do you mean?
Yeah, there's like there's these certain picks that it's kind of like agreed upon are really good in certain matchups, but not everyone plays. Like, do you think people should be branching out more? That it's kind of just like kind of autopilot for some pros?
I mean, from the bot lane perspective of things, it's like, yeah, I'm sure there's some champions or maybe more niche stuff like people could be picking, but like, why would I stray away from Zeri when like that champ is just broken and you can just scale and like there's just so much evidence of Zeri having these crazy games and solo carrying the game that why would I just not pick this champ? Like it doesn't even make sense almost, Like maybe Lucian Nami I could see because like, you look at the win rates, like it's got nerfed a lot, win rates are dropping a bit. So maybe we need to find a new duo there, but like.
It seems like people are kind of slotting in Varus and stuff a lot more.
Yeah, like Zyra Khan's popping up a bit.
Yeah,
so that stuff seems strong. Yeah, so that stuff's kind of popping up a bit, but like it's almost just like if it's not broke, don't need to fix it,
And it is broken.
Yeah, it's definitely broken.
And Riot needs to fix it. What about you? Because top lane, obviously, you're saying like there's so many different picks that can slot in, right? And I think when you watch like solo queue streams and stuff, like even like highest level solo queue streams, there's like way more niche picks that are coming out in top lane.
Yeah.
And obviously, like there is that inherent risk of like most of the counter picks you have to play aggressively, which like exposes yourself to ganks. So like it is changing the whole team play style. If you want to play. If he wants to play, Ignite Riven top, then maybe you don't get to play with your jungle behind you in bot lane there.
I don't like that.
Or like Uxin or something.
Like, don't suggest it.
Yeah, I mean, stage play always trends towards champs that are just consistent.
Yeah.
Like, consistently do the same thing. Like, I mean, Renekton is like the prime example of like being played for however many years in a row now in top lane, like pretty much every year since pro plays existed because he can flash stun. You know, like he can always do something. He can flash stun. He's big, and lane phase is always really important.
He's big.
He's big.
And he gets bigger too. He can get bigger,
one. Flash stun. Bullet turn number 2. He big.
Hey man. So it's just like when you pick like things like Akshan, and it's like you play it in solo queue and it looks good, and you play it in scrims and it looks good, and you go on stage and you get like a 20 CS lead, and then you rock up to like a Rift Herald fight and then you lose because you're Akshan and they're Renekton, then it just feels really bad, you know? So I think there are things you can play, but it's difficult to find the right things, and also like scrim results, like the Lee Sin, for example, don't always translate to stage. So I don't know. It's difficult.
How would you approach changing practice habits then? Because that's like something that I think so many people talk about, is that it's like, oh man, like these scrims are just like, the data I get from scrims is just garbage, right? And people talk so much about scrim champs, and there's things that'll come out like Jace this year. We've seen quite a bit of Jace mid, like almost always loses, but everyone's like, but it's killing it in scrims, right? So is that not just like a symptom of there being poor practice from these scrims? Like, how do you get it closer to the stage games so that you guys are getting like better data from these?
I think people have been getting better, actually. Like, I don't know if it's because we're now scrimming top teams, but I will say like my scrims this year have felt the most structured of the past couple of years. Like, they've been feeling a lot better. And then at the end of the day, it's like the same thing that I said earlier. It's like you care more about stage than scrims. So you are going to play differently. Like when you die in scrims, it's like you died in scrims. And when you die on stage, you're like, oh shit, like I died. And it's a big deal and it's going to impact the game. So I think people are improving on it, because it's all about just like taking it really seriously and like not flipping like a wave. If you wouldn't flip it on stage, don't flip it in scrims, kind of thing. So I don't know.
Yeah, I do think it is like a bit of a skill as a pro to look at a matchup, and you know, you're watching a replay of a scrim or something and you're looking and you're like, they are playing this wrong. So like, I think so many games I'm like looking at a replay after a scrim and I'm just saying to my coach, yo, I don't think this matchup is good. And our coach is saying, no, but you guys are like, you're so ahead. Like, how are you saying it's not good? And I'm like, no, because like they're doing this and this and this wrong. If I'm them, I would have stomped myself, you know? Like that kind of. So it's a skill to be able to look at the scrim or a matchup and just think, yeah, I would have played that way differently than they did. I don't think this is good. Or even in some cases, you're playing it wrong and you're looking, oh, how did they beat me here? You know, and you take that info. And then from their side, they got the bad info, right? But you know, hopefully they can figure out that maybe we weren't doing the right thing. So
they're so bad that you can play both sides better than them, and they don't even know it.
Yeah.
Okay, we try and be a relatable show. So what advice would you give to people for climbing in solo queue? Broken on 13.4 right now. Take your mind out of pro if you want to climb solo queue.
13-4.
The shackles are unleashed. It's the same patch that you're playing on right now.
I think Jax is still really good, especially in solo queue. Like, I talk about a lot. I mean, I play a lot of Renekton on stage. When I play Renekton in solo queue, man, like it is just so pointless. Like I'm like, yeah, I'm up 30 CS. I'm bullying this guy, and then like their Jax gets like a triple kill in a fight, and I'm like, I'm outscaled. It's so shit. Don't pick this jam.
Big loser.
So I think scaling tops are good. Like Jax, Fiora is always good. You just get to 50 minutes, and then like you know the other team's having a really bad time. And also, the number one tip for climbing in top lane, like not about like getting better, but climbing in top lane, just don't die to the jungler. It's like that simple.
Yes.
You die to the jungler goes bot, he kills your bot lane, he kills your mid lane, you lose the game.
So as someone who plays Phil and is often put top lane because no one likes that role, how do I not die to the jungler? This is the part that is the worst. Is it's so easy to like ward for like the early gank and stuff.
Yeah.
But I would say like, so genuinely curious about your advice. The difficulty for me is if I'm playing a losing matchup, the wave bounces. What do I do, right? Because now I know that the jungler could be coming top, but the wave's frozen on me. And I'm like, well, my jungler's not coming top to help me because I'm in a losing matchup, but there's no way he's coming. So then I just end up flipping it and hoping the jungler's not there, and then I die to the gank. Because in that situation, I feel so doomed. When the wave's frozen on you, it's like, that is my eternal solo queue struggle for top lane.
Yeah.
When you're in a losing matchup.
Don't let that happen.
Because it feels like, and maybe it's that I need to manage the wave better or something. But when you get counterpicked, right? If you blind in top, and you're playing against like Ignite Action or whatever, and the wave bounces, then he freezes it on you. I'm like, okay, I don't know how to play because leaving the wave frozen and just
Oh yeah, no,
accepting
we're talking
most
about we're talking about solo queue. Just run mid lane.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what
No,
you
like
think?
seriously, like the enemy Akshan freezes, and you're playing like what? What do you play top lane?
I play stuff that's not gonna roam in. I like Nasus and Kale and lots
Dude,
of
I'm
Kale.
telling you,
God.
if you're Nathis and you go mid lane and you W their mid laner and you E him and maybe you hit him with a Q, that guy's tilted.
Yeah.
You just gave your team a big boost in the game. He's pinging his Akshan. He's like, you're playing against Nasus. Why is this guy in my lane? You know? Just like they freeze on you, just go mid lane.
That's
Go
what I
bot
was
lane.
gonna say.
Also
Just
love
go
the word.
somewhere else.
No, you just go. If you can't break it and your jungler's not there, just go
Do you
somewhere
think
else.
it's not worth
Yeah.
flipping? It's actually better to just give it up.
Don't die to the
Yeah.
don't die to the enemy jungler.
Okay.
You'll lose
Yeah.
the game.
No, the thing is,
Level 2 Nasus coming to a game near you. Help you mid
the
lane.
jungle kill is like, I swear it's just 10x a normal person kill. Like if I'm playing bot lane and they have a Hecarim, right? If I kill the enemy bot lane, oh nice, that's pretty good. Like I'm gonna be in a really good spot. But dude, if I die to their Hecarim and that guy gets 2 kills, I just solo lost my team the game. So do not die to the enemy jungler. That is
All right, so we got the a second vote.
no.
for that.
It translates to I'm sure every role except maybe jungle. I don't know how that works.
Don't die to the enemy jungler. Still applies to a jungler.
Probably
Oh,
still
yeah,
works
I
for
think
them.
so.
Yeah, I mean jungle is just the strongest role. You have to play around it. So just don't die, and you'll
That's a hot
probably
tip.
win a lot more games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any champion specific?
AD carry, I think Kaisa and Xayah are really strong in solo queue. Those are like the 2 best. I think like even in pro play, like Xayah is popping up a lot now with the new Navori build. It's pretty broken, I think. So I'm still waiting for my chance to play Kaisa. I love that. But
Back to the Kaisa Nautilus days.
yeah,
LPL
I would
style,
love it
every single game.
I would love it, but I don't know if it's happening. So.
Sweet. Well, thank you so much for joining us, guys. This was actually really fun, and congratulations on 8 of your last 9 games that you have won.
Thank you,
It's
thank
pretty
you.
damn good. It's been cool to see you guys turn it around. And I personally like seeing some of the players that have been around for a while. I think you guys are changing some of the narratives about that because people have to reevaluate. I think their opinions on some players, right? And it's been a really cool discussion. So awesome to have you all here. Thank you so much. And that'll wrap it up for us for now. Remember, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any episodes of The Dive. Definitely don't want to miss this one with the Golden Guardians folks on here. Maybe after you guys win MSI, we'll have you back on as you'll have your like Rolexes. Maybe you guys will get maybe you guys get a jet for winning MSI. Shoot high for sure because no one's done that before in NA. A reminder also, if you want to do the Twitter giveaway, hashtag the dive LOL, and you have to also hashtag the dive LOL giveaway to qualify for the RP giveaway. LCS continues this Thursday. It is FlyQuest versus Team Liquid Hyundai, 2 p.m. PST. We'll see you there.